Hello and welcome to the NBA Economy Show. This is the show we call The Hedge. So we're going to talk about general NBA topics. Um, the Hedge, so we could talk about last night's game, we could talk about tonight's game, we could talk about general NBA topics, and it's up to you. So, of course, the number is below. I am so you can call in for free, and we're going to get to the NBA topics.
To the NBA Economy Show.
If you're a Knicks fan, they do have a playoff presale for the next round. So, thinking ahead after that loss on Monday, I'm highly disappointed. But I think we're still expected to win the first round series. Atlanta definitely had a historic comeback. It's continuing the theme from the first round last year. Last year, we lost a heartbreaker in the first round. We lost heartbreakers in the second round, in the third. So there was always like excitement throughout the playoffs. But if you wanted to buy your next round of playoffs tickets, they're certainly available. Definitely looking forward to that next game. Tomorrow on Thursday. So actually, the biggest news from last night was Wemby, the Wemby news, because Wemby went down with a concussion. So a serious thing, and with the NBA, they now have concussion protocol. So he would not be able to like play in a game 48 hours. These games are scheduled out in such a way that they do have a travel day going from game 2 to game 3, so that third game is not going to be within 48 hours. It'll be after then, but you really need to clear him before you take the next step. So he can't be having any headaches. All that needs to be cleared before I think the second 48 hours starts. The second 24 hours starts. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen with Wemby there. There's a lot of like false information out there. The certain websites are saying that he's out for the playoffs. That has not been determined. He's just under concussion protocol just for the first 24 hours. Definitely can't practice or anything. If he feels good the next 24 hours, he could do regular basketball activities, but we haven't heard about anything. The only thing we've heard is that he would be examined today. So as far as Wemby, he will be evaluated today, and then we'll probably hear a little bit more if his headaches has gone away, if his symptoms have gone away, and then they'll take the next step. So when it comes to Wemby, that definitely was a disappointment. I think it really did change kind of the outcome of the game yesterday. That was really disappointing. In other news, we know that the NBA awards are starting to come out this week, and we have already seen 2 awards given away. And we saw Monday Defensive Player of the Year went to Wemby. Clutch Player of the Year. So Clutch Player of the Year is yesterday, Tuesday, and we see that went to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who brought home that hardware, a lot of game-winning shots. This team really, he is the guy in Oklahoma City. And down the stretch, that's what they rely on. And they've won a lot of close games. So that kind of would get you the Clutch Player of the Year. So what we're going to look at, Sixth Man of the Year will be announced today at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. All right, so there is some news that we did kind of miss on. We did miss On Monday, because we the show was a little bit early, is there are some draft ties that were cleared by the NBA. So if you have the lottery is 1 through 30. All the teams that did not make the playoffs, but those teams who may have the same records, they call it a coin toss, but it looks like there isn't actually a coin toss. It's actually done the same way that the lottery is done, is through like ping pong balls. So they broke their draft ties, and this was the result. So Utah Jazz won their tiebreaker with the Sacramento Kings. New Orleans Pelicans won their tiebreaker with the Dallas Mavericks. Phoenix Suns won their tiebreaker with the Orlando Magic and Philadelphia 76ers. Second and third place went to Philadelphia and Orlando, respectively. Toronto won their tiebreaker with the Hawks. Rockets won their tiebreaker with the Cavaliers. And the Knicks win their tiebreaker with the Los Angeles Lakers. So I know a lot of people on this who do watch this channel are actually Knicks fans. So with the Knicks fans, that winning that tiebreaker gets us the 24th pick. So we have the 24th pick, the 31st pick, and the 54th pick in the NBA draft. So if it's going to be the 24th pick, what kind of players are they putting up in the mock draft for the 24th pick? So this is who CBS Sports have mocked between, let's go 22 to 27. So 22, they have Cameron Carr. 23, they have Ade Mara. 24, they have Patrick Ngumba II, Matijas Krivas, Flory Badunga, and Henry Visar. So actually, those are some very good names. Cameron Carr, Morez Johnson, definitely Flory Badunga are names I know. Steinbeck, I believe, is going back to school, so they probably have to update that. But definitely some good names you can get with that type of pick. And what we're seeing is a lot of transfer portal players in the NCAA. A lot of players who you would think would go out to the NBA draft are staying in the NCAA because they may actually make more money playing college ball than if they left college and came to the NBA. So a lot of players who are on the bubble of the end of the first round, going into the second round, what they're doing is they're going back to school. They're making more money in school than they would in the NBA, and hopefully their draft stock, would raise, and then they'll come out with the NBA when they can make a whole lot more money. So smart thoughts by the those kids who are gonna make that choice. It also makes the NBA stronger by a lot of people not coming out until they're ready. At the same time, it does kind of hurt some players because they don't learn to overcome adversity. So the player who doesn't do well his first year in college is transferring to a different school when he doesn't get the results he wants, instead of, hey, I'm gonna persevere and then try to overcome. Like changing places, you're not developing that thick skin. You're not developing those traits that are going to push you to be better. So in those ways, some players are getting worse. But for the first couple years, it may look really good for certain players. So we see those draft ties are all set. Let's see. All right, and then the story of El Cheapo's real. So we see that the new Blazers owner, the stories keep coming out, like more and more stories of his cost cutting measures and the lengths he's willing to go to save a buck. So yesterday was reported that he really only went to pay about $1 million to $1.5 million for a coach, when many of the elite coaches in the NBA make over $10 million a year. Many first-time coaches make $4 to $5 million on the minimum as a first-time coach. And right now, he's had an interim basically all season. So he's had a minimum. He's had an interim all season, and what he tried to do with the interim was had a very good season. Well, looks like he offered him way under what a first time coach would make, and that's kind of insulting when not only are they giving you a chance, you're actually doing the job. And we see that the next thing is they were interested in interviewing Mike Malone, and I believe they actually did contact him, but they were only willing to offer around $4 million a year. Mike Malone, well-accomplished coach, $4 million a year. Mike Malone, in the caliber of coach, should be around that $10 million range. So Mike Malone owned around double that salary with the Nuggets, and then he ultimately chose North Carolina. So an insulting offer by Mike Malone. I'm pretty sure that didn't go very far at all. But that wasn't the only news. Yeah, so we're talking about interim. Thiago Splitter discussed a contract. So they actually talked about making him the full-time coach, but they lowballed him. And he stayed on the job. He does get a raise over being an assistant, but very, 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 very insulting. And also another story. So they're saying this isn't just a sudden idea. He did this with the Carolina Hurricanes of the NHL. They say he is not ashamed of this. He does not care what people say. He is cutting money. He does not care. He does not care about being known as cheap in the NBA. And now he says he doesn't think the Blazers should have two mascots. Blaze the Trail Cat and the secondary mascot, Douglas Fur. He said he is looking at everything and questioning whether or not it's necessary in his mind. So everything from when they check out of the hotel, they're not paying any late fees, even if they have nothing to do for the next few hours. They are cutting money. I'm not sure how the NBA is going to handle this. The NBA usually, in situations like this, they tell people to get their act together. I'm not sure what they're going to do in this situation because he seems very determined to cut money. So we'll see what's going to happen with he's gaining a reputation, and the name El Cheapo looks like it's going to stick. I've also heard some very interesting news. Not just NBA, but not only if you're an NBA fan, um, you know, the athletes and the shoes they wear are usually like something that people want to wear. Jordans are by far the most popular athletic shoes out there. But it seems that Nike stock price has been suffering. And when we look at the stock price over the last 2 years, it is half where it was 2 years ago. And if you look at a wider view of 5 years ago, it's down 65%. Actually, yeah, 65% over the last 5 years. It's probably over 75 down from its peak around 5 years ago. So it went up and then it went down. And the reason that some people have said these athletic shoes aren't doing so well is they're struggling to sell basketball shoes because NBA players aren't as popular as they used to be. And this is Brian Windhorst saying this on ESPN. He says financial experts claim the lack of player popularity is now directly hitting Nike's revenue and stock price. I'm not sure how true that is, because Jordans are doing what they're doing. I don't think it's really the popularity issue. I think it's the shoes themselves. Basketball shoes are not the most comfortable shoes there are. Also, the technology is not advancing. I know they have fly knits that make them a little lighter, but the techie stuff, the techie stuff that we always thought with shoes were coming, never came. Like, they did have a couple with auto laces. They did have a couple models with like tracking and fitness track, but we thought those were things were going to be standard by this time. But those aren't standard in shoes. Like, ultimately, the same type of shoes we were buying 40, 30 years ago are what we're buying now. They're just a little lighter. I don't think that's enough. These shoes aren't that comfortable to be like keep selling. There's no real push to get these shoes over something that's more comfortable. Like over a pair of, like, if I'm going to pair a pair of Hokas, or a pair of running shoes may appeal to somebody for a daily driver than a pair of basketball shoes, which are uncomfortable. So there's no tech to really push that ahead. But if you have any thoughts, you can definitely put it in your comments. If you're seeing this video after, comment what do you think about these type of things. There is also some news when it comes to the new NBA franchises coming in a couple years. We know that most likely it'll be Seattle and in Vegas. We're hearing a little bit more about the proposals for Vegas. So right now, they're taking proposals of what that new stadium will be. There is a current stadium in Vegas, but they're going to build a nicer one. This is something that the NBA was very adamant about, is building a new stadium, and it sounds like it's going to be massive, like a massive stadium in Vegas. So one of the proposals that came out yesterday. So it says, and this is from the Sports Business Journal. It's a 21,000 seat diamond arena. It's in a diamond shape. has been proposed on the South Strip, um, built for expansion franchise. And one of these proposals is that they kind of have like a arena area. So there's an arena area and would be an arena area in Vegas, and they would line up these large venues over there. And actually, I did have like kind of a preview. And one of the interesting features is it would have a jet parking lot. So, like, not only would, there's a nearby airport, and it would have a jet parking lot that pulls up to the arena, which is quite interesting. Would have a crazy amount of parking. Probably you would need pretty crazy amount of parking because it's an area with a lot of visitors. Vegas isn't like a lot of the bigger cities in America that have a huge subway system or a huge bus system that can handle that many people. So it has a huge amount of parking. But yeah, so these are some pretty big proposals. The proposals will keep on coming. So we'll see what's going to happen there. They also proposed like a very huge soccer stadium to go right next door to it. So that's something to keep in mind. In another news, they have announced where the 2031 FIBA World Cup will be. And the 2031 FIBA World Cup will be in France. And they assigned the hosting rights to the FIBA World Cup 2031 to France. And that's going to be 3 cities, Lille, Lyon, and Paris. And that's 2029. I'm sorry, August 29, September 14, 2031. So we're talking about 5 years from now. So, it looks like Wemby has brought that, his populator has brought that that's World Cup to France. All right, and as for we're just one more before we end. We're just gonna kind of go over one of the Bleacher Report articles and things that they think would happen this summer. Very interesting. So it's bold 2026 off-season predictions. And the first one is a high-profile restricted free agent signs an offer sheet that isn't matched. So that's a player who's coming off his rookie contract. What they're going to say is one of these players is going to sign an offer sheet with a different team that he's currently on, and his team that he's coming from won't match it, because we know with a restricted free agent, if it's matched by his drafting team, he has to stay with his drafting team by matching that salary. And the players we're kind of talking about here, they're talking about a high-profile offer sheet. Jalen Duren, Peyton Watson, Tari Eason, Walker Kessler are the type of players they're talking about. The player Denver, if that number gets really high, Denver probably wouldn't match. Also, Tari Eason, if it gets very high, they wouldn't match. I think Jalen Duren, if he signed out elsewhere, They would definitely match. Walker Kessler, if he signed anywhere, I think they would definitely match. I think Utah would probably match it and then try to trade him, 6 months later. But I think they would match it. Like, I don't think they would want to lose him for nothing. I think just the ones that are really in danger: Peyton Watson with Denver, Tari Eason with Houston. What is their second thing? Kawhi Leonard gets traded to the Sixers or the Heat or the Knicks or the Pistons, Blazers, Suns, or Wolves. And there is an asterisk. And of course, is there asterisk because of the aspiration scandal. We need to find out what's going to happen with the aspiration scandal before anything. Because he could be suspended the entire next year. That's what I thought it would call for. They're kind of signaling that they're not going to do anything drastic like that. But easily, they could take a half a season, tell him to take a half season off. And then that drastically changes the outlook. Like, do you trade for a guy who's going to miss his first 41 games? How much do you trade for a person who's gonna miss 41 games? So that would be a big factor. So in this article, it looks like the Clippers will have a pick. Perhaps they trade for more picks or somehow to move up. That could be a way to move up from a team. Also, New York and Minnesota could see him as a consolidation target. You know that they both will be pursuing Giannis this summer. So they could look at this as, hey, if I don't get Giannis, someone else lands Giannis, or Giannis goes back to Milwaukee. They could look at, hey, I need to improve my team. This could be the guy just to improve my team. Okay. Also, Philadelphia owns the swaps, a couple swap picks, so they could look to try to, maybe I could use him to get those swaps back. He's not going to be as valuable as he has been in the past. But if they're going to go into tank mode, they may want those swaps back. So that does make a lot of sense there. Or he can go to the Detroit Pistons. And like Detroit Pistons, they could kind of look at him as, hey, that's the final piece that we need for a championship. So they do have they're going to have cap space, and they're going to have players to trade. So they would be kind of in the driver's seat because they can offer relief. They don't have to offer the same amount of players back. The next thing, Victor Wembanyama, this is the third. Victor Wembanyama is just one of two top 10 picks from the 2023 draft to sign an extension. So this year is the early extension year. Next year is kind of the restricted year. So if you really want to keep that guy and you don't want anybody making any offers on your player, you do it this year. If you're going to do it this year, these are the type of guys where you're giving max extensions, or you're giving rookie maxes or super maxes to. So Wemby is definitely a super max guy. So definitely they will be offering as much as they can to Wembanyama. Players who kind of are on this list where you may give a max to: Brandon Miller, Charlotte Hornets. He's becoming the best player in the Hornets. Amon Thompson, and also Thompson. So Detroit and also Houston. They also are in that max money range. Great defense, promising offense and distribution. All right. And they could also, because Detroit typically doesn't give out max extensions, they can look to, try to get a little bit off the max on that one. So they're also, when they talk about the top 10, Koulibaly, Jarice Walker, at this point, they're not max type guys. So it's going to be tough. Because if you're trying to give Koulibaly or Jarice Walker what they're worth now, they may just say, no, I'm not going to take 12, $14 million a year. If I do well this year, hey, I may get closer to that max number. So they may most likely bet on themselves. So someone in Koulibaly, he was like hot last year, had a bad year this year. He's not going to want to sign after a bad year. He's going to bet on himself, and then next year, hopefully he can deserve a max. Taylor Hendricks, first 2 years, a lot of injuries. This is his first real year he's getting some action. I really like the kid, but he'll get lowballed if he signs it this summer. I know a lot of people want the security of getting a long-term contract, but with his experience, he wouldn't get very much. So most likely, he's going to bet on himself. They're fourth. Giannis Antetokounmpo gets traded to a team that won the first round series. So why does that make sense? A team that won the first round series, they're a good team. Usually, a lot of time, the teams with the most assets are teams that haven't made the first round or got eliminated in the first round. So they probably have a lot more picks, or they have a high pick available. These are teams not with high picks. These are teams that fall short. These are probably teams with champion aspirations. So he's probably getting traded to a contender. He's probably getting traded to a contender. This is not a stretch. This is not a stretch. And the last, LeBron James will join the Warriors or resign with the Lakers. We already know the Lakers aren't going to give him a max extension. If he comes back, it's going to be a heavy discount. There aren't going to be a lot of teams that are going to want to give LeBron James a max extension at this point. For the most part, the teams with the largest amount of money are losing teams. So does he want the money that bad that he wants to go to a losing team? Probably not. But the Warriors won a championship bad. And one thing that the Warriors could do is they could shuffle around some pieces, make it happen, because they just want to make it happen for Curry. So a lot of the trades don't have to be all-out winning trades. Like they want a championship. And LeBron James and Steph Curry have been like in each other's way for championships for many years. And for them to team up together would be interesting. I wouldn't put it past them. So that's from Bleacher Report. I don't think none of these are too bad. I think they're pretty safe. They're pretty safe for this summer. On this article, pretty safe Pretty safe bet on this. So if you want to read, it's from April 20th. So pretty good article by the Bleacher Report. We do have some news. AJ DeBansa does say that he has a big news tomorrow, 11:45 Eastern, 11:45 a.m. Eastern. Let's see. If he's smart, he's going to go to the NBA. If he's smart, he's going to go to the NBA. So we can look forward to that tomorrow. Most likely, he's announcing that he's going to the NBA. And one quick look before we close. Close this out. I do want to say, shout out to Lee from the Nick of Time show. I know that he put out a new article today on what the Knicks need to do. He also kind of evaluates. He evaluates Mike Brown's failings so far and what he needs to correct for the Knicks to win. So I definitely would subscribe to the the Nick of Time Substack, where he has like articles at this point daily on the Knicks and around the NBA. So definitely shout out to Lee. Actually, that's pretty much what I have for today. We didn't get any phone calls, but we're gonna keep going live. We're gonna try to keep the show going, like 4 days a week. Eventually, we'll get some more callers on. I'll even have some guests on, so maybe we get some people from the Nick of Time show. Some of my friends from Blue Orange Tears, perhaps, would like to come on and just talk about NBA topics. So thank you for everybody for tuning in. If you tune in live, I know it's not too many of you guys live, but if you tune in after, thank you. You definitely always can support us. 1 second. Yeah, so you could definitely support by liking our content, subscribing to the YouTube channel, by commenting on the videos, by cash apping. Sharing is caring, so sharing this with your NBA friends, or just parts of it about news you've seen, will definitely help this channel. Thank you for tuning in. Again, this is The Hedge, so we will talk about yesterday and we'll talk about today and general NBA topics. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Hedge.